Hello, everyone. We are live. Let me go live on Instagram. It's 3 p.m. on the 7th of August, 2025. Thank you for being here. Let me know where you're watching from. Hello, Helen, Amy, Pack to Pack Carnivore. And let's see. And we have Anthony here.
Can I get some better light real quick?
There you go. What? And today we're going to be talking to Anthony Hayduck, who now it's been maybe like a month or two that you changed your handle to Chemo to Carnivore.
Yeah, I'm still in the process of doing that. I haven't changed any social media to that yet, but I'm in the process of figuring out how to do all that. So I think it's more catchy than just my name. A little bit easier to remember.
All right, so we're gonna have Anthony tell us a little bit about his story. But if you have any questions regarding that, go ahead and put them in the chat. QQQ. Also, let me know where you're watching from. And in honor of Anthony, we're gonna give away 1 day of fasting. Fasting is one of the things. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it serious. I'll give away a bottle of grass-fed organ meat blend. All right, I was sort of kidding, but we'll give away something. We'll use the hashtag chemo. Okay. Let me actually set that up. Anthony. And we'll do hashtag chemo. All right. There we go. Anthony, where are you joining us from?
I'm back. Nice. I don't know why it kicked me out of the screen. I am in Port Angeles, Washington today, in my hometown.
Okay. Very good. So you're at noontime over there.
Yeah, it's 12:05 actually, lunchtime, and in my coffee cup is not coffee but raw eggs, all mixed up. That's my meal today for lunch, is some raw eggs.
Just the raw eggs? Nothing.
There's raw eggs and a little scoop of creatine in there, but
Okay.
that's it for today. After the live stream, I make a couple beef patties with some bacon and call that my lunch.
Okay. Well, some people mix the eggs in their, 1 egg in the morning coffee. uh, and I guess it works.
I have
Works out for
yet to
them.
try the coffee and egg or even coffee with butter, but I broke my coffee addiction about 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and, since I stopped having coffee, I don't have it anymore because if I break it, the cycle and have it again, I won't be able to stop.
That's
That was
good.
that was a
Uh,
hard addiction to break.
I have a cup of coffee, and I sometimes go a few weeks without drinking coffee. During this fast that I did 22 days, and I actually started drinking coffee the first part, and for the last 7 days or so, I didn't drink coffee. It was almost naturally just stopped drinking coffee, and I lost my desire to drink coffee. This morning I made myself a cup, and it's still there. For some
So
reason
your fast was
I
22 days?
yes, I fasted 22 days until exactly a week ago, last Thursday.
Because when I seen you in Vegas, you were going for 15 or 16 days, or at least long enough to beat Kiltz, and so you did that by an extra week.
Yes, yes. He completed
Congrats.
15 days. It wasn't a competition, but it was a good goal to have, to go longer than him, and I did it.
I'm
And then I
proud of you.
stopped.
You beat me.
What's your longest fast?
My longest is 7 days, but now I want to push for 10 to 14.
All right. So you probably, this is what I would say. Part of the reason I do it is for my maintenance against cancer returning. So I have a similar goal to yours. I've been no nothing has been detected now for a year and a half.
Awesome.
But I do try to do fasting on a regular basis because of the mitophagy, the autophagy, and because I think it's a good tool against cancer. And I do have the extra fat to have the luxury to do that. Not everybody needs to fast. I think it's useful for everybody, regardless of the weight, to do some time restrictive eating, and to also once in a while, maybe on a regular basis, once a week, throw a day of no eating. And
I'm a
that
firm
could,
believer in that as well.
yeah.
I think fasting depends on what your goals are in life and your health regimen. And you could correct me on my theory on this because you have more information and more schooling. But like for example, your liver is your only organ that has two functions. It helps process food. It also helps fix the body. It can't do both at the same time. So if you're eating food, your liver's working to help process food, and if you're fasting, then your liver could help fix the body. And so I'm a firm believer, whether you're sick or not, anybody should learn how to practice fasting, whether it's, intermittent or prolonged. It just depends on your goals, on the length of fasting you do. And from a cancer standpoint, I'm a firm believer with you is that one of the biggest things you could do for preventative of cancer is fasting. So many of us had the mentality, oh, let's fix cancer, let's beat cancer, including myself. But if I had the mentality, let's prevent getting cancer in the first place, I wouldn't even be in this predicament. It's easier to prevent than it is to fix.
Oh, yes, yes. And many things definitely come into that. Diet is one of the most important ones there. So let's go ahead and tell us a little bit about your story. A lot of the people that watch this channel have heard you before, but very often we get people that have not. So let's introduce Anthony Hayduck to them. And you're becoming a veteran at this.
I'm getting
Talking,
better at it. Yeah.
yeah. So I was in Seattle where you had, I believe that was your first time talking, right?
That was my first time talking ever in front of a crowd, minus high school.
Okay. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and what happened and how you got here and how you're finding carnivore something helpful.
Sounds good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those that know me and those that are new to me, my name is Anthony Hayduck. I am now a 33-year-old male thriving with stage 4 GIST cancer. GIST cancer stands for gastrointestinal stromal tumor. It is a rare sarcoma. Only or roughly 5,000 cases a year get diagnosed as a cancerous GIST. I'm one of those 5,000 cases. And I also deal with mutations that are hard to treat. I didn't know about the mutations and the level of hardness to treat until I went through trial and errors with everything. And how I got to this point with this diagnosis is on my 31st birthday, I actually got the stage 4 incurable diagnosis. But prior to the diagnosis, I had a surgery. July of 2022, I was flayed open like a fish, cut from hip bone to rib cage. It was about a 10-inch or 12-inch scar. I had a softball-sized tumor removed out of my stomach. Part of my stomach and intestines got removed as well. I don't have the exact measurements, but somewhere between a quarter and a third of internals got removed. I'm also missing a gallbladder from 7 years previously. Everything came back as benign tumors, non-cancerous. Let's proceed forward with the surgery. And after surgery, about a month and a half later, was my 31st birthday. The cancer center said, hey, we need an appointment. Came back as stage 4 and curable. I do quotes because I think anything's curable or fixable eventually. It's just a matter of surviving with it or dying from it or, everything in between. I hopped on the treatment. So with GIST cancer, in-house radiation, in-house chemo doesn't touch the cancer at all. They know that from other people, other experiments. So with GIST cancer, there's things called TKI therapies. If I pronounce it correctly, it's casein inhibitor or something similar to that. It's more of a targeted treatment. I hopped on a targeted treatment for 130 days and it aged me bad. Like I went from 30 years old to 60 just in 130 days. I spent 10 months urinating blood, seizures, the whole 9 yards. Just
Do you have pictures right now available or not?
I do not have anything available on my
Okay.
laptop.
It's okay. It's okay.
But they can more than happy to go to my Facebook page. My very first post on my Facebook page is pinned, and it shows the 2-year transformation from when I quit chemo to 2 years later on just the changes in my face. But after that treatment period, we found out that the cancer got worse. It spread, it multiplied. And that's when I realized that the standard care treatment for cancer doesn't work, at least for me. I chose to quit chemo. I got a gym membership, made a game plan to figure out how to win or die naturally. And the game plan I came up with was do different diets, be strict and disciplined between each cancer screening, which was 3 months at a time at that point in time. And I did plant-based, vegan, Mediterranean, keto, standard American most of my life. And it wasn't until I hopped on carnivore was the first diet. I use diet. I hate the word diet, but I hopped on carnivore, and 3 months later, that was the first diet I've been on where the food didn't contribute to tumor growth. The tumors had stalled out growing for the first time ever. I chose to do it for another 3 months. So 6 months into carnivore, I actually showed some shrinkage, not much, but some. And to go on to how I even hopped on carnivore in the first place During my keto regimen, somebody sent me a link of Jeff the Prosperous, Blessing on My Journey. He was a stage 4 colon cancer thriver, and he was doing chemo, doing carnivore, exercising, doing everything all metabolically plus standard care treatment, and was having success. So with his encouragement and his story, it led me to be brave and start vocalizing my journey more, hop on carnivore and see what happens, which initially hopping on carnivore while dealing with cancer was scary because red meat causes cancer is the saying around town. And it's been that way most of my life. Speaking most of my life is I've never been fat in my life. I've always been in good shape. Never had a nice physique like I do now, but I took care of myself. I exercised. I worked for a logging company, well, a tree service company. Fresh out of high school till 2022, I worked for the same company. Climbed trees, fall trees, drag brush. I was really physical active. I was strong. I had endurance, but I didn't have physique. In my late 20s, well, let me rephrase that. In my mid-20s, I started having digestive stress, getting sick all the time. Went and seen a naturopathic doctor, and he was like, Mr. Hayduck, we ran some allergy testing. The vast majority of what you're eating at this point in time is causing you problems. You have sensitivities or allergies to what you're eating. I changed my diet for a couple of months, started eating cleaner, learning about oxalates, learning about healthy fats, and I started feeling better, but I never got 100%. Well, when I started adding more healthy fats into my diet, and at this point in my life, in my mid-20s, I was on a low-fat diet because that was the craze. Fat's bad for you. Well, once I introduced more fat into my diet, I ended up with gallstones. I didn't know why I got gallbladder stones at that time, and I realized after surgery, removed my gallbladder. The reason, and this is my opinion, the reason why I got gallstones by going to more higher fat content is when I was low fat, my gallbladder wasn't working the way it should have been. The bile or vial, however you pronounce it, got hard and crystallized. It got it harder, to work. And then once I added more fat into my diet, the gallbladder had to do its normal job to process the fat and produce more bile or vial. Well, being I already had stones starting in my gallbladder when I was low fat, when my gallbladder started working when I was high fat, it flushed the stones out. And that's why I ended up with gallstones. You don't get gallstones from a high fat diet. You get them from a low fat because the bile gets hard. It's kind of like a sponge. You keep it wet, it stays soft, and you don't keep it wet, it gets hard. So now that I'm carnivore, I'm actually 23 months into carnivore. I'll be 24 come September 1st. And one of the biggest things, besides people say carnivore is expensive, you can't do carnivore without a gallbladder. I'm a high fat diet, and I feel, there's me the day I quit chemo. I'm glad you found that picture. January 31st, 2022 is when that picture was taken. And I felt as bad as I looked. The chemo actually killed my hair follicles and put them frost white. That was not dye. And actually in May of 2022, that previous picture, I was still working at that point in time. I collapsed in May of 2022 at work. My coworkers drove me down to the bottom of the mountainside. My parents picked me up and I wound up in the hospital. And that's when we found out I had the softball-sized tumor. The tumor was big enough and in the wrong spot. It was pushing on my lungs, so I had shortness of breath. And to wrap it up real quick is mindset is everything. And then next to mindset is what you put into your mouth.
So here we have, when was this one? Are you seeing that one?
I don't see a picture right now on the screen. I see a Gmail box.
Okay. Let's do this again on. All right. So you see this one yet? No, I have to bring it on stage. There we go.
Something's loading. Yeah. So that one was either surgery morning, which would have been July 27th, 2022, or that would have been about 2 weeks later when I wound up back in the hospital with heart problems. I couldn't tell you how many. That was definitely a couple of days after surgery. I think I was like July 28th or July 29th, 2022. And through that scar, that's where a lot of your nerves run. So when I learned how to re-walk again, like day 2 or 3 into the hospital, they had to teach me how to sit up in bed, get out of bed, physical therapy to go down the hallway. It wasn't until day 4 or 5 in the hospital I actually made it all the way down the hallway. Every time I'd pick up my left leg to move it or try to move it, I could feel it through my rib cage and my sides. That's how bad it was. So the picture there, the 3 side by side of May of 22, January 23 to May of 23. May of 22 is before I even knew about tumors. That's before I even knew I was sick. I knew something was wrong, but I was told by local doctors, you're just young. It's your hard job. That's why you feel bad, because you beat yourself up at work. And I hopped on treatment in September of 22. By the time January 23 came around, that's how I looked. And then flash forward to May of 23. I had just hopped on Mediterranean style diet. I did keto. I did plant-based and vegan first and hopped on Mediterranean second. But during that time, I was spamming collagen powder, like 2 or 3 smoothies a day with the collagen, which is good for your hair and nail support. And I'm a firm believer that's why I got my beard back as quick as I did. But what's funny about January 23 to May 23, my blood work didn't improve that much. I mean, I did have improvements because anything's better than chemotherapy. But after a couple of weeks or after a month or so after chemo, all the blood work just stalled out. And then, of course, the February to February, that's 2 years of the gym. So many of us, including myself, don't have time for the gym or have an excuse. We're already in shape or we're busy or whatever the reason is. And I literally could tell anybody right now, to get a physique or get muscle or to better your health, it's consistency and having intentions with what you're doing. What you put into your mouth matters. Just because it fits doesn't make it food. And you have to exercise and train with the purpose. I'm not saying you guys got to go beat yourself up at the gym as hard as I do, but train with a purpose. Train for movement. Train for function.
You look 20 years older than this on this picture, February 23.
Somebody made the comment that's a father and son side by side picture, and I was like, that's offensive.
You could say so.
But like even in my face, you could see my skin was pale white, my eye color was dingy. I looked and felt like a walking zombie. So even if you took the physique change out of it, facial change is just night and day difference, and beard change. What I tell people, and Dave Mack really likes this one, is just because it fits in the mouth doesn't make it food. And you take a vehicle, for example, you have a fuel tank, whether it's a gasoline or diesel tank. You can't piss in the tank and expect it to run. You can't throw water in that tank, expect it to run. So how come us humans decide to put something in our mouth to call it food? We have to run off of healthy nutrients.
All right. I know we have a couple of questions already here. What does Anthony eat in a day, and what's his workout routine? He looks so darn strong.
Very good question. My eating regimen kind of depends on my training regimen. So for an average day, I intermittent fast. I eat in an 8-hour window and I fast for 16 hours. I try to do that at least 5 days a week. If it's a training day, I have one extra meal than a non-training day. For the first year in the gym, I was working out 6 days a week, but for the last year and a half, I've cut the volume down from 6 days a week to 4 days a week. And now I'm back up to 5 days a week because I'm onto a new training program. But for a quick answer, a volume of food, typically on a daily basis, I'm about 2 pounds of meat a day and about a dozen eggs and a half a stick of butter for a quick answer.
All right. So here we have I wonder if Anthony still does tree work.
So I have the how do you phrase it? I have the ability to physically do it again. It's just I'm not able to go back to tree work full time and make a living out of it because I can't afford to work and fight cancer at the same time and take care of my health. But actually, my neighbor got in a pickle a few weeks ago, and he had a danger tree that was about to blow over. And I was like, "Hey, give me some meat and give me a couple of steaks. I'll hook you up with the fall, and I'll follow the tree for you." So I went over and fell the tree before it took out a shed, and then he just been supplying me with some steak as I need it.
It looks like some few of you didn't hear me, and the hashtag is chemo. Hashtag chemo. Okay. Everything else, the tool ignores. Okay. Now, give one day of fasting to Rick. I don't.
The nice thing about fasting is it's free. You know, it doesn't cost you anything to do. You just do it. And you really learn a relationship with your body and food.
I gave stage 4 neck cancer. I recently had the histotripsy procedure I mentioned earlier to Anthony. Don't know where your cancer is. He's asking you if you looked into it, Anthony.
Oh, I've checked into it, but I haven't gone into like trying to proceed to do that procedure or anything like that. The next thing I want to try for my own self, as far as a procedure or something goes, is I want to get into like a sound wave therapy. I've really learned that everything in life has a vibration and a sound wave for it. So that's what I want to try next, along with a whole nother parasite cleanse, which is going to start in a couple weeks.
Okay.
People from all over. That's amazing.
Yeah. Earl, we're going to be in Ohio August 23rd.
Congratulations on your hat and t-shirt.
Remember to send an email to Alia at drkiltz.com with all the information she's going to need. We have stopped chasing people that don't email. If you win something, you need to email Alia, and she'll be happy to send your hat and shirt on whatever you win. All right. And I think I had seen another question around here. Thunderstorms are here in Central Florida, Rick. I don't know if it's going all the way to Miami, but right now it's calm, but about an hour ago was dark, and even the house got cold inside, which usually doesn't happen. We're here in Florida. Uh, the histotripsy is a procedure with sound waves, by the way,
Okay, so
Anthony.
maybe I did look into it, and that's why I want to try it next.
How does the egg not cook into the coffee? Now you don't have it into the coffee, right?
No, mine just egg and mixed with water, swirled together.
If you use one of those, forget the name of the instrument,
The frother.
the frother, it's not gonna cook up, gets itself into the coffee very easily.
That's a good one.
By the way, who was it that's in San Diego? Brenda, are you gonna be going to the? We're going to San Diego next week. So, are you going into the Low Carb USA conference?
I was hoping to make it, but I had a life event happen, so I'm not going to make it.
All right.
But I do know I'm going back to the carnivore meetup in January, February in Vegas, and I'm in the process of saving up to go to another one, say October or November, wherever I can find one to go to. And I'm actually now 8 months into having raw steak almost every day.
Okay.
Actually, a matter of fact, one of my favorite meals this past weekend up in Canada, I took 0.6 pounds of fresh water buffalo, ground it up with a hand grounder, mixed it up with a half pound of fresh cow heart, ground it up, and ate it with a raw duck egg. Just mixed it all together and ate it. It was pretty good, actually. Of course, top with salt. Always got to have that salt.
Yeah, I always put it in my water. All right. We have a question. Oh, we already answered this one. Oh, yeah. Brenda, are you going into the Low Carb USA? We're going to have a booth there, KiltzHealth. And Dr. Kiltz is speaking on Friday, I believe. So what does your routine of eating? You mentioned right now, you eating once a day, or are you eating twice a day?
On a workout day, it's 2 to 3 times a day, and a non-workout day is once or twice.
Okay.
I would love to get to the point where it's just one meal a day, but the problem lies being how I lost so much stomach during surgery.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to cram that volume of food in one meal. And when I was doing one meal a day, I was losing weight and losing size. And I don't mind being a little bit smaller. I just don't want to, get down to a weight where I'm uncomfortable being the weight I was. I feel best between 180 and 185. And so like right now, I think 181 today. A couple of days ago, I was 179. I fluctuate.
And if you're training the way you're training, that, if you have to eat 2 or 3 times a day, then that's probably what you need to
Yeah, I
do.
think my basic metabolic rate, if I'm being lazy, my body burns almost 2,400 calories in a day just being lazy. If I'm active, it'll burn up to 4,000 a day.
how long has it been since the last how can I put this question? The last time you had checked, there had been no change, right? When was that?
So I just got checked about a month and a half ago, maybe. Within the last 2 months, I've been checked, and there's been no new growth at all. Actually, for the last year, I've been 100% stable. Nothing's grown or shrunk. Everything's just been stalled out. So we'll say 15 months ago or 16 months ago, I had a scan where it showed a little bit of success on shrinking a tumor. We'll say about 30%, 40% one tumor shrunk. But at that point in time, my grandfather was still alive, and he was paying for part of my regimen I was doing. Well, he ended up passing away, so part of what I was doing I could no longer afford, and I think that is why I am not having success shrinking anything anymore versus just being stable. At the time where I had success shrinking, I was carnivore, I was fasting, hot therapy, cold therapy, and the biggest thing, in my opinion, is mitochondria therapy for red light therapy, which red light therapy is pretty expensive in my neck of the woods. And as we know, or as I know, mitochondria is very important. And I'm a firm believer that with healthy mitochondria, they can help fix the body faster. And being how I'm no longer doing red light therapy, I think that's why I'm not having success shrinking tumors, because everything else has been the same minus red light.
And one of the best things that you can do for the mitochondria, number one, is being in ketosis. And throwing in some fasting. Now, you have to be careful. Anyone who is dealing with a similar situation, at some point, fasting is not really feasible for someone who has cancer if they don't have really the weight on their bones to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
So you have to be careful, because this is why our bodies don't want to let go of the fat. They want the fat to be there for times of no food. But if you're sick, then this is why many people don't advise prolonged fasting. So you have to work it out and be careful with when you do it and how you do it and how long you do it. Probably better to do an intermittent type of fasting, like skipping one day a week. Now, I had 6 weeks of treatments when I was being treated. And what I did, because it was a weekly thing, I fasted 2 days before and 2 days after so Monday ate, Wednesday had treatments, Friday ate. And I did that for 6 weeks. I believe it helped me stay clean. So far, CT scan, multiple cystoscopies, and everything else has been clear.
I definitely agree with fasting as a cancer patient or dealing with type of cancer is very self-individualized. You know, what you do for your fasting versus me is going to be slightly different because of the size between you and I, or the different regimen, or everything like that. I do know through other people's experiences that are on treatment, when they fast, like you said, up to the treatment and shortly after, their body responds a lot better. For example, with my own self, I have access to the body scans that tell your BMR, your body fat, the whole 9 yards. And in January, when I did my 7-day fast, I went from 15% body fat down to 10% in that 7 days. And so, like you said, it's very challenging to learn the regimen of fasting, because you could get really lean really quick, and that's not good.
And you probably shouldn't go below 10, definitely.
No, I don't. I feel like shit below 10%. I found out the hard way.
Yeah.
I try to stay between 12 and 15. That's when I feel the best. Hi, Lash.
All right. Hashtag chemo. I will send grass-fed organ meat blend. In particular, if you don't have organ meats, that is a good thing to do. And you can go to KiltzHealth.com and find our grass-fed organ meat blend and our grass-fed beef liver. Okay.
Now, Dr. Nelson, would you recommend with a fast to eat or supplement organs prior to your fast and shortly after the fast, just so your body gets the nutrients it's going to need during the fast and recharge after the fast?
I think that would be a good idea. I take the organ blend right now, and I sort of forgot to do it during the fasting because I stopped any others. Basically, I wasn't supplementing with anything during the fasting, but before I did. I do once in a while eat organs, but I've been carnivore for now 25 months, and I may have had a liver over that time, liver and a half total, and a couple of times heart. And I have a beef heart in the freezer right now, waiting for me to take care of it. I got a lot of stuff in the freezer that because I'm going to San Diego and going to be outside my house for 2 full weeks, I don't want to take anything out right now.
I don't blame you.
So
But yeah, I myself with the fast, I always try to load up on some type of organ blend or organ meat prior to and after to. I've only ate liver and heart. Now I've ate beef liver and I've ate deer liver. I absolutely love deer liver more than beef liver. I tried beef kidney once. I either cleaned it wrong or cooked it wrong, but it tastes like shit. Was not appealing. I was like, no more kidney for me.
well, our organ meat blend has liver, brain, kidney, spleen, pancreas, and heart.
I might have to get me one of those and try it.
So hashtag chemo, and we'll see. And
do I just go into the comments and type a hashtag chemo?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can figure that out real quick. So Jojo has a question, it looks like. And says, Anthony, have you had any luck with parasite cleansing? So I've done multiple parasite cleanses. PCI is one brand. Artemance Essentials is another brand. I've done a couple products with woodworm. I've done ivermectin and fenbendazole as well. Maybe Dr. Nelson could correct my thoughts on this, but I think our bodies are really smart and they can build a tolerance to anything we're doing. So instead of doing 6 months or 8 months or a year of the same style of parasite cleanse, I rotate them. So 1 month I'll do like ivermectin. I'll take a couple of weeks off. I'll hop on, PCI for a month or two, pull off for a couple of weeks and hop on another one. And I just rotate the blend. This way here, my body doesn't know what's going to happen.
Anthony, how do you drink raw eggs? I don't think I could tolerate that.
So, a short story. I got into drinking raw eggs initially because a buddy bet me. He's like, "What you won't eat a raw egg?" And so I cracked open the egg, put it in the cup, and just try to drink it, yolk and everything whole. It tastes like a big loogie. It was disgusting. And so I was like, I want to try this again and compare the whole egg to like a blended egg, mix it up real good with the frother. And using the fork and then a frother to make it really, the same texture all the way throughout made it a lot nicer. And then after about a week or two of doing it, I actually got used to the taste of it. It was just having to get used to the taste. And maybe Dr. Nelson, you could agree or give me your opinion, is when I did have sugar cravings and had, the most standard American diet, didn't care what went into my system, anything that was actually healthy for me didn't taste very good. Sugar tasted good, salt tasted gross. But now that I'm carnivore and my taste buds have readapted to what's good, what's healthy, sugary stuff, when I have cheated, in the past, doesn't taste good. Anything sweet is disgusting, and my body loves the salt and more healthier food now.
Yeah, same here. Looks like we have the man, the myth, the legend,
Carrie
Man in the house. All right. Hello, Helen. So if you have any other questions for Anthony, put them in the chat. Now, you mentioned you were back to 6 days a week training.
Yes, for the next 8 weeks. Well, next 7 weeks, and then I go back to something else. Since day one into the gym.
What is the routine? What is the weekly routine right now?
So the weekly routine is Monday through Friday. I actually bought a program. It's a Jeff Nippert bench press program. I want to get a stronger bench press. My goal is to hit 315 pounds, all raw, all natural, for a bench press. And my max right now is 265. So I bought the program, 4 months ago. My wrist has been injured for a while. It finally feels better. So the goal is to run this program for 8 weeks and get my bench press from 265 to 315 if I can. And if I can't get to that number in that 8 weeks, I'll drop the program for a month or two, go back to my old style of training, and then pick up this program again at the first of the year. With training more, you got to eat more. And the more you eat, especially trying to fight cancer, the harder it is to get a good GKI reading, which is glucose ketone index. And so I've really had to learn to let my ego go and realize I don't need to be as strong as I want to be. I need to beat the cancer first. And then once I beat the cancer, I can get stronger.
Definitely. That is your priority. So human feats are good to try to achieve, but first let's beat this thing, right?
Exactly. So it's been an ego check, trying to keep my mentalness in check. It's like I feel good, I want to do better, but I understand your body could only handle so much at a time, especially if you're fighting an illness as it is. So there's times you need to rest, and especially with food, you got 30 feet of digestive tract. If you're filled up with food all the time, your body's not going to heal how it needs to heal.
So Terry B asks, what are the top 3 favorite things to do when you work out at the gym?
Oh, goodness. Well, now that I'm able to do it without any pain or discomfort, anything body weight exercise makes me happy. Pull-ups, push-ups, planking, not so much because my core is not as strong as it once was. But anything body related is amazing. I also enjoy arm day, bicep curls. It's nothing's cooler than looking down and seeing your arms all vascular and swelled up. And then chest day. Chest day is always fun because I could actually do the pec dance now, and I've never been able to do that my whole life. But just being at the gym, everybody at the gym is kind of like the carnivore community. Everybody's like-minded. They're working on themselves. They're here to help everybody around them as well. And besides the carnivore community and my normal family at home, the gym is my other family. Like I have 3 families. I have my home family, the gym family, and the carnivore community.
All right. Anthony, when is your next blood work to check your numbers?
So through Western medicine, my next blood work is October, but through the cancer nutritionalist, that is in November. I met with the cancer nutritionalist about a month ago, give or take, and we fine-tuned a few more things in my regimen for food intake and timing of eating. I bought some, actually, I'll show you real quick. I bought some Bond Charge red light glasses for blue light blockers. So these also help with your circadian rhythm and mitochondria. Basically, as soon as the sun goes down, those go on. So when I'm looking at the screen, I'm good. So the goal in November is to continue having more and more better blood work. The cancer nutritionalist I'm working with, I'm not going to phrase it word for word because I don't remember it word for word. But long story short, I'm one of her favorite patients. She doesn't work with vegans or plant-based people anymore because their numbers never improve. Me going to carnivore, I sent her all the blood work prior to carnivore, and then I sent her all the blood work with carnivore, and she's seen significant improvement, through the 23 months of carnivore, and every test the numbers just get better and better. And like what I explained to people in general, because I've had a few people, well, how come we're not cancer free yet? Other people are. And what I explained to people is health isn't a race, it's a marathon. If you push yourself too much, too fast, too hard, your body can't adapt and change and heal. I'll live to be 100 with tumors inside of me as long as they're not getting worse. I don't care. It'd be cool to have them gone, but they're not affecting me because they're in a protected cell now.
Juliet Marie asks, what supplements do you take, if any?
So I have a shelf of supplements behind me. If you go to my YouTube page, which for now is Anthony Hayduck, eventually it'll get switched to Chemo to Carnivore. But on my YouTube page is a whole video on the supplements I take and explains why I take them, what they do. But for a quick rundown through my brain is I take lion's mane, I take a Carrigon mushroom, I take turkey tail mushroom, I take vitamin D3 with K2 attached to it. I take different types of magnesium. I take a potassium supplement as well. I also supplement in my water potassium, magnesium, and sodium, or sodium, potassium, all the electrolyte stuff. What is it? Yeah, it's sodium, potassium, magnesium. And so in that 1 gallon jug, there's 3,000 milligrams of sodium. There is like 400 milligrams of potassium and 120 milligrams of magnesium. And some days I drink the full jug, some days I don't. It just depends on how much I sweat. But I also do sauna therapy, so I'm a firm believer, whatever you excrete out, you got to replace.
She also asked, do you do weight training coaching?
I am not certified in any way, shape, or form yet. I would love to. I just don't have the funds to do the schooling. But I have gave some pointers to friends of mine and people at the gym to get better results. And with all due respect to all the coaches I've been trained by, it's funny when people now come up to me into the gym and ask me for advice over the coach. And it's like, I've really understood how to fine tune things. For example, a lat pull down, so many people will go straight and pull downward. If you reach across your body and do it, your lat gets stretched more. You get more range of motion, which is going to cause more engagement, and you're going to get more growth. And so when I instead of doing a straight arm pull down forward, I lean 90 degrees out and pull to the side, and it makes my lats work that much more. And it's just little tips and tricks like that. And I will say, as far as training goes with weight training, strength training is important, but there's a level once you get to your strength, you still need to keep your mobility. having all the big muscles doesn't mean anything if you can't move and squat and get up off the couch or go upstairs.
And especially as we age, we need to keep that flexibility. Do you ever do a dry fast, or are they all water fasts?
So I would love to get into a dry fast. I think you and I have talked about them in the past. I know me and Carrie Mann's talked about them a bunch. My biggest issue is ever since chemo, my mouth has not been the same. Oral health went downhill. My tongue went downhill. My saliva glands got screwed up. And so right now I actually have a hydro water bottle. It's hydrogenating the water. I keep that by my bed every night, and I wake up throughout the night and actually drink a couple sips of water. Eventually, once my body heals enough, I would love to try a 24-hour dry fast. It's just my mouth gets so dry so quick, it's uncomfortable. And I never had that problem until chemo.
And we're not here to be martyrs and push ourselves through difficult things just because. So if it's not something for you, at some point you can try it, but I know the dry fasting fascinates a lot of people, and there are some people even here that have tried to do a few days of dry fast. I think I did, I don't know if it was 32 hours or 42 hours. Supposedly is equivalent to 2 or 3 times the hours or the days of water fasting as far as the autophagy and mitophagy and all the other benefits. Either way is a little bit of a stress on your body, so you don't want to do it too frequently. All right, so we're getting to the top of the hour. Let's stop this and let's look for that. Like I said, hashtag chemo, and we're going to give a bottle of grass-fed organ meat blend. It's not going to be this one because this one is mine. I'm using it. But there we go.
Nice.
I thought it was going to fall on Juliet Marie again. Sandra Hardin, congratulations. Send an email to alia@drkills.com. I will let her know, but alia@drkills.com. Doctor spelled out and Kiltz, KILTZ, alia@drkills.com. And she will need your information to send the bottle to you. And I'm going to go and have some, I think I'm going to go with just some burger patties and eggs today. No fancy steak or anything like that. How about you? Do you already eat or?
As soon as we get off this, I'm gonna cook up some burger patties with bacon.
Okay. Oh yeah, I have some. I'm gonna do some beef bacon as well.
Yeah, honestly, I mean steaks are good, but the ground beef patties are just a cheat code for carnivore. I don't know where meat. I don't know what the price of meat is in your neck of the woods, but for ground beef, it's $5 or $6 a pound where I live, and that's grass fed. And so you can
I
put down a
I
pound worth of meat for like $6.
yeah, I buy the burger patties from Walmart at a 75-25, and I think I saw a similar box that Carrie showed not too long ago. Uh, that ends up being less than $4 a pound for a bunch of burger patties. They're already made into patties. Otherwise, sometimes I do have some ground beef, and I make my own patties with that. Uh, but those 75-25 from Walmart, they're good.
Yeah, and I think Walmart is the only one I can find the 75-25 ratio. Most stores are 85-15 or 95-5 or 90-10. And I actually, when I go through the butcher, I make the butcher do my beef at either a 70-30 or a 60-40 mix.
All right. So where can we find you, Anthony?
For now, everything that I have is going to be my name, Anthony Hayduck. That'll be my Facebook. That'll be my Instagram. That'll be my YouTube. My TikTok is Making Cancer My Bitch without the H. But in the next month or two, I'm trying to transition all my names to Chemo to Carnivore. So when that time comes, I'll make a post that everything's transitioning. I think it's just a lot more easier to have it all with the same label and a catchy label versus having different socials with different names.
All right. So thank you very much, Anthony, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here this afternoon. We'll be in the morning at 6 a.m. again in our morning live. And next week, we're traveling to San Diego. I'll be some days here, some days in San Diego. San Diego, 6 a.m. Eastern is going to be 3 a.m. Eastern. But I will try to make all the lives. I just have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning every night. Anyways, thank you for being here, and we'll be talking to you later. Go and eat some meat.